Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. It's almost too big for the frame on this video. This is the new Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, aka the new Note for 2022. This is a big phone, a phablet, a tablet. This Note/Ultra is probably one of the largest, nicest phones out on the market right now. As you can see by my minuscule size hands compared to this phone, it is a behemoth of a device. This is much more than just a phone. If you're not familiar with the Note series, you'll know that the kind of defining factor of it is the fact that it has this S Pen. And the S Pen allows you to write and take notes and do other things. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But that's ultimately what differentiates this from your standard cell phone. Otherwise, it has all the bells and whistles that Samsung is famous for throwing in there. And we'll talk more about that in this honest review of the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. So jumping right in, the first thing you're going to notice is this fantastic matte green color on this device. Amazing back panel. I don't know if it's glass or plastic. It's hard to tell these days. It sounds like plastic, but it's probably glass, which is weird. It does have a nice texture to it. It doesn't feel slippery. It doesn't attract fingerprints, and yet it looks extremely premium. I do like how the lenses sort of stick out directly from the back. You know, if you look at that, it's kind of cool how they just sort of like go directly into the case and they just kind of pop out. And so that's a neat feature. I will say though that putting this down on the ground is going to be interesting to keep those protected. You may want to consider a case, but the moment you put a case on this device, you instantly lose that fit and finish and feel. And so the other things to talk about are the edges, so subtly round, and they just very naturally blend into the contour of the device. You have a nice flat edge on top and a nice flat edge on the bottom. You see the SIM tray here, USB-C port here, microphones and speaker arrays, S Pen location, no headphone jack, obviously that's a thing of the past. Microphone on top, no buttons on this side, and you have your power and volume rocker on that side. So build quality wise, the phone is fantastic, albeit large. You know, I can't use this phone with one hand. I mean, I don't know how big my hands are. I would say they're average maybe, but you need two hands for this device. And that's probably the biggest weakness of it, which, you know, I'll talk about at the end of the video. But aside from the overwhelmingly large size, you can see the screen here, I mean, is absolutely incredible. Like the screen on this phone, other than the actual build, is by far the nicest part of the device itself. I mean, I took a bunch of videos and photos on this thing, and I mean, it is just a joy to watch and to look at on here. It's the closest, best reproduction to, like, you know, a high quality TV in your home or a cinematic display, you know, on your computer. I mean, it's the best. It's the best display you can find in a phone, I think. It's just very sharp, very rich colors, not oversaturated, very responsive, just an incredible phone screen to interact with. I mean, I couldn't ask for more right now. There's nothing it leads me to want. The colors are natural. It's not overly warm or overly cool. It's very accurate. And just, like I said, an incredible display, feature rich, nice to look at, nice to use. One of the best features of the actual device, I would say, by far. And so if you are considering this phone, tablet, whatever you want to call it, probably the things that you are interested in most are camera quality, display, maybe the size, maybe the S Pen, you know, and like the other stuff like storage and speed of the device. And all of those things work really well on the S22 Ultra. You know, I've had it for a few days. I've been using it. The battery life is killer. It lasts several days. Wireless charging is included. You know, USB-C is easy to find plugs for. So battery life is fantastic. The usability of the phone, even though it's rather large, is okay. I mean, you definitely need two hands to type. You know, if you're gonna try and enter something in here, you gotta use two hands. You can kind of finagle it with one hand, but it gets really hard to juggle it around. But, aside from that, the software is fluid and fast. Samsung has kind of moved away from the overly bloaty, in your face double app ecosystem that they used to have. They definitely still do have double apps. Like, I don't need this crappy internet browser. I don't need probably anything in the Samsung folder at all. So I'll delete all of that stuff. I just want a clean Google experience, and this has gotten better. It's still annoying, and there's still dumb stuff in here that I don't want, but whatever. You can delete it or uninstall it or just clean it up with a skin to make it look a little more googly or a little more, stock Android OS-y. But otherwise, the phone's fast. I mean, there's no lag anymore. There's no delays. It's just fluid, easy to use, and clean, and I like that a lot. The other thing that I really like about the phone is the access to the S Pen. And so, while you may not use this, you can leave it tucked in the phone, and that's fine. If you never use it, whatever. If you want to use it, cool. I made a little drawing here of a trailer that I needed to measure, and I used the pen, and this worked really well. It was easy to write on. It was easy to change colors. It's easy to zoom in and make edits, right? And so it's a really cool interface for either taking notes or maybe doing some sketches. There's other things you can do on here, right? Like you can, whatever this AR doodle translate, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's classic Samsung where they throw in 25 things and you'll probably use 2 of them. But it's nice to have that feature, and having the S Pen sit in the phone by itself, whether you need it or not, is really cool. So if you're a person that likes to take notes or has a need to draw on your device, this is the one to do it on. The screen's super large that you can actually take reasonably cool and easy notes on. So big plus there for that. The other thing most people are going to be interested in is the camera. And, as you can see on the back, there's about 5 different lens arrays and some flash bulbs and some other stuff. If you're a fan of my channel, I'm not going to talk about specs. I don't even know how many megapixels is in this thing. I don't really care. The number of megapixels to me doesn't matter. What matters is the usability of the camera app and the quality of the images that it produces. And I am blown away by how good this is. I mean, not only is it like super, super sharp for details. I mean, the resolution, I don't know how many megapixels is in this, but the resolution is fantastic. The color reproduction is fantastic. The quality of the audio, the quality of the video, the stability of the image stabilization. It's amazing. The portrait mode, here's a portrait of one of my chickens. Fantastic color, fantastic sharpness, fantastic blurring of the background. It really, really leaves me to want nothing in a camera. I was very, very pleasantly surprised with just how well it's able to pick out the detail and then separate that from the background, as well as capture lots of resolution. I mean, this is nuts that this is from a camera phone. I mean, you really don't need another camera in your pocket at all. Skin tones are accurate. Color reproduction is accurate. The selfie camera is good quality. I mean, it's good detail in this lens, even though it's, probably a lower megapixel count than the back cameras, obviously. But the video quality is great. Like I said, the color reproduction is fantastic. I'm going to show you a portrait here of my son with his, you can kind of look at his hair, but like I said, very, very good stability with the image reproduction. This is another example too. So this is that like 100x super zoom thing. So if you can't even see the squirrel, there's a squirrel down there on that deck. And so the next photo is all the way zoomed in on that squirrel. And that's that 100x super zoom, astro zoom, whatever. Kind of a gimmick, but I mean, it's cool, right? Like normally you wouldn't even be able to see that. You can almost see him jumping a little bit there onto that tree. But like, under normal circumstances, you may not end up using that feature of the camera, but it's neat to have, and maybe a gimmick, sure, whatever. But again, detail, super amazing, super good quality. This is all pretty low light because it's late in the day. Here's another portrait mode where you can see the hair separation. Very, very, very good quality. I can't I can't imagine a better camera. I mean, I've used iPhones, I've used Pixels, and this really is one of the best. The other thing I noticed too is this is the super wide angle lens, and I watched this happen while it was going on. I took this with the, the 0.6 super wide, and it actually image corrected his head. And so his head was distorted because of the lens. And after the photo was taken, I watched the software like shrink his head down so that it didn't look super distorted in this picture. And it made a really good quality indoor, super wide, low light, fluorescent picture. And you can see his skin tone look really good. So kudos to Samsung on the camera on this thing. I mean, if you're gonna buy the phone for one reason alone, the camera system is incredible and absolutely worth it. So one other thing to talk about is sort of the security of the device and what is included with what you can do with it, right? And so again, typical Samsung, they're gonna throw all the bells and whistles at it. So you've got, fingerprint unlock, you've got face unlock, you have pin unlock, and they all work really smoothly. Like, so this read my face and boom, now it's unlocked. If I shut it off again and then come back and then use my fingerprint, boom, easy, quick, fast. In typical Samsung fashion, you've got a lot of options. They all work pretty well. I will say that, having all this stuff, I guess, is good. I mean, maybe more security is better. I don't know. I haven't used it long enough to tell whether or not like one is faster than the other, but they all seem to work pretty quick and are pretty usable. I think that, if I were going to use this phone full time, my issue with it, and since this is an honest review, I don't like to pull any punches. My issue with it is, do I put a case on this? Because there's no way I can use this with one hand. And so I'm gonna drop it, or it's gonna fall out of my pants pockets when I'm, at the gym or getting out of my car or something. And so that leads me to, put some sort of protection on this. But then that immediately changes the feel of the phone. And it immediately changes my direct interaction with the device. And I don't like that because I like the color. I like being able to feel the back. I like being able to feel the round edges. And so it's really tricky for me to figure out whether or not this would be something that I would buy. It's large. If you have large hands, it's probably a different story for you because you could easily grab it with one hand. But I mean, this thing is pretty much unusable for me. Like I just can't. And so I don't think this is a phone for me just purely because of the size. Even though it has a fantastic camera, great processor, great storage, incredible display, it's just too big. And that's unfortunate because I have an S22 regular coming that's obviously way smaller. And I'm hoping that my experience is similar with the S22, just as it has been with the S22 Ultra, because this is a fantastic device. And I really hope that if you guys like larger phones, that you check this out because it is one of, if not the best phone for 2022. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe.